The history of nations of the world begins with the activity of human beings. The springs of human activities consist in need, drive, inclination, passion, and interests. There is in human activity a conatus essendi, an instinct of self-preservation. The conatus essendi comprises the warp and the waft of the fabric of history. It is central to the history of nationalist movements in Africa in general and in Nigeria in particular. It cannot be extinguished. It can only be managed, because to bring it to an end is like bringing history to an end. Biafra was part of the Nigerian past. Biafra is part of the Nigerian present. Will Biafra be part of the Nigerian future? Today, Biafran movement has taken the center stage in Nigerian politics. It has become the focal point in recent political discussions. Biafra is something about us. There is something Biafran in Nigeria. But why is Nigeria afraid of Biafra? Can Nigeria live in Biafra? Should Nigerians become Biafrans? Should Biafrans become Nigerians? On what logical conditions can there be a country? If there was a country, could it be that there was a country that shows that there is a country which was, and that there will be a country which may be? How can we contend with the past and build a country for the future? Good evening, viewers, and welcome to another edition of our platform, Destiny Discovery. I am your anchor, Samuel Uzo. Today, my guest is Very Reverend Father Professor Bonachristus Umeogu. Father is a priest of the Catholic Archdiocese of Onitsha, Professor of Philosophy, the Director of Igbo Village and Center of African Civilization in Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Father is also the founder and champion of Igbo University Project. He is the spiritual director of Communio Sanctorum Ministries International. Father, you are welcome to this platform.
Thank you very much.
Today, Father will educate us more on the topic, Biafran past in Nigeria future. Father, we'll go directly to this. Do you think Nigeria have any future in Biafra?
I think it will be very important to make clear what is the Biafran past. You talk about marginalization and the bloody massacre of the Biafrans during the war. You talk about the inequality in infrastructural distributions, as well as inequality in allocations. I think we have to settle with the past of war, the Nigerian Biafran Civil War. That's the memory Nigeria has of Biafra. And it's a memory. I wouldn't call it a past without memory. It's a past with memory. And as we discuss about this past with and or without memory, we are coming to the present with attention. And we are looking towards the future with expectation. It's very important that we are doing this discussion right now. I will simply say that given the issue of the war, which is a Holocaust, where brothers killed brothers, which still rings the bell of blood debt everywhere. I will say that Nigeria cannot easily forget Biafra, and Biafra cannot easily forget Nigeria. If you apply what we call the many value logics, if you permutate Nigeria and Biafra, you can see that we have a Biafran Nigeria and a Nigerian Biafra. And I want to relate them properly right now. Before I relate them, there is this danger that if you do for further permutations, such as with mathematical logic, you come to the level where you have not only Biafran Nigeria and the Nigerian Biafra, you have again what we may call Biafran Nigeria Biafra and Nigerian Biafra Nigeria. Then at the extremes, you have Nigeria, and Biafra. Now, let us go into this past I have described. Remember, I talked about marginalizations, then the massacres before and after the bloody coup of 1966, both the coup and the counter coup. And then there is this idea of the problem of the past, which is the past of war. And I think I must say that there is no future in the past. I want to establish both now and forevermore that there is no future in the past. To be sure and to be precise, if we want to cover the past, that's why we have said that the issue of agitation should not be misunderstood, because they are agitating about something which involves the past we are talking about. And the problem is not that they are agitating, but why are they agitating? Have we solved the problems of agitation through principled negotiations? So unless we do something about this past will repeat itself. You mentioned history. History repeats itself because men have refused to learn from history. And I must say that the past cannot change. That's the problem. That past cannot change. The Nigerian Biafran past, especially in reference to the Civil War, cannot change. Nobody can change that. It's a reality.
So you are saying in essence that there is nothing to celebrate.
It's a fact of history. No, I'm saying that if that past becomes our future, then we have lost our future. If we bring that past as it is to the future without solving that past, we have lost the future. You cannot change the past, but you can learn from the past to change the future. That's the argument. No one can change the past. It is already given. But you can learn from the past to change the future. The past is done. It is in the memory. And it is for us to learn from that. The present is here. We have to live out the present and also prepare for the future. The future is yet to come. For life is lived forward but understood backwards. And you see, this goes into something very uncomfortable, because this past has not been treated very well. Every new Nigerian president or leader always looks back to the past, blaming the past administrations and things like that. And these things go on and go on. And you see, this is uncomfortable. See, ndị Igbo si na nwata na ebe akwa na alụ aka, nwere ebe nwata ga na alụ aka ma ọ na ebe akwa. So why must every new Nigerian leader look backwards and not forward?
It means there is something about the past.
That's the problem. Something is there in the past.
So what is there, Father?
I've already described that, and that thing wants to repeat itself again. Yeah. So I said, let us learn from history. And I want to make it clear to everybody, you cannot change the past. And if you bring that past and make it the future, we have lost the future. That's why I said, whether the past is with or without memory, both comfortable and uncomfortable, we are to give it attention in this present so as to draw lessons of change for the future. So we get the kind of future we need. So I want to remark that the leaders must necessarily look backwards and not forward. So that's why the country is stagnant. Everything is stagnant and things like that. I want to make it very clear that if we really want to do something very important, let us note, number one, that Nigeria cannot do anything by forgetting the entire issue of the past. So it is not something for us to forget, it is something for us to solve. That's the point. And I think as soon as we start solving that, some of these points of agitations may even frizzle out. So I would want the federal government and other people involved to start looking into not only just this Biafran agitation, into other things about Nigeria. Other factors.
Let me come in here. Given the terrorists, of course, Biafrans in recent times have been prescribed a terrorist group, and they have also tried to, fight back. You remember the Operation Python Dance saga and all that. And you see that in the face of all this, there is, of course, you mentioned that blood debts, and this is also something in the past. How can we resolve that? How can they forget it? Because it is already registered in their memory.
There's a very important matter I want to draw attention to. This idea of the instinct of self-preservation, Bonachristus Sendi. In phraseological hermeneutics, it comes in various forms, depending on the philosopher you are talking about, like Descartes, Levinas, Spinoza, and then you talk about conatus ascentro or conatus residendi or conatus movendi. We are talking about that natural inclination in human existence, or even of anything in existence, to preserve itself, to continue being what it is and not be some other thing, to continue to live and not to die, a kind of voluntaristic vitalism, the will to live. Somebody gave us a song, born to live, born to stay, born to survive. So I think there is a way you may push somebody, and the person will start thinking about self-defense, may start picking at sticks and things like that. I have said that some of those mistakes, and by the way, from the either sides, either from Nigerian side or from the Biafran side, we find out that at times people who do not even represent the military or represent even the IPOB or the Biafrans can just go into the troubled waters, and we start to, if you like, perpetrate evil works. So who can assure us that these people are really Nigerian soldiers or they are IPOB members? So hoodlums can also go around to perpetrate some of these evils, just to cross relationships and things like that. That's why I said conflict behaviors must be there. Conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. So I think this principled negotiation must come in to bring cooperation between some of these conflict behaviors, so that we get what they call conflict transformation with words and not with weapons. And I say, I just wanted to address this idea because this word, the use of terrorism is often misunderstood.
Okay.
See, and again, when you brand a group with that kind of name, you'll find out that you can also make them terrorists by that kind of appendage. And when there are some of these propaganda, some of these hate talks and things like that, you see, that's why I said, let us not prevent and prepare for war at the same time. That's unacceptable. There's no faintest logical reason for us to prevent and prepare for war at the same time. So when people pick up sticks and clubs and things like that, you see, maybe they want, if you like, to go into this instead of self-preservation, survival, that they may not die. And you see, it comes in a trilogic way. One is about that giving the marginalization, inequalities, the massacres and things like that, a people can decide that they must live and not die. See, and I think in asking for a referendum, I do not think there is anything wrong in that. All over the world, people ask and receive something about that. But the thing we all must be against must be war, using blood to get a referendum. No, I cannot sign that. First, as a priest of God, I cannot sign that. It must be something dialogical, something peaceful, through what I have called principled negotiation.
I would want you to, address this idea of principled negotiation.
Your use of the word terrorist or terrorism made me to analyze, because see, if we don't clarify some of these things, we must engage in logical clarification of thoughts and concepts, so that I said once language goes on holiday, there must be misunderstanding. So let those who use the word terrorism or terrorists, let them be careful about what they are trying to hatch into the already troubled waters. So I just want to analyze that very well, that there is no reason to start using the word right now. Let us find other ways to reconcile some of these things. I've already made it clear that something like the IPOB cannot be a heuristic person or a juridical person, and you cannot draw out a kind of jurisdiction whereby you cannot bring the IPOB, even as a corporate person, to have a fair hearing. So that's why let us, and then the issue of registration, which people throw away from this issue of terrorism. See, because once you bring that in, there'll be a problem again to give a legal jurisdiction and things like that. So let us be careful about the management of some of these words that we use and abuse. And I think if we will understand each other very well, I have said we can resolve these things with words and not with weapons of war.
So, in the light of this, would you say that Biafra can be accommodated in Nigerian political space?
And still coming to that, like this whole idea of, I think there are two ways I must establish these things. Nigeria cannot just wish away the Biafran past. It's a reality. And two things will be involved. Either to solve the issue of the problem of their agitation, and let us see whether people will be happy, or to allow the Biafrans to find another sovereign nation where they can control their matters in their own way. Our people say, na ada ajo ogodondabo. So Nigeria must do one of the other, either to settle some of these issues so that the agitations will go, or to leave it as it is without settling that and allow these people to succeed. So, to be or not to be, that is the question.
And in the question of to be or not to be, you will find out that there is an underlying crisis, an identity crisis, and it will lead us to the danger of reconciling Nigerians as Biafrans, as you said somehow initially, or reconciling Biafrans as Nigerians and all that. So how would you resolve, or rather contend with the challenge of identity crisis in the face of the call for referendum?
I think you are going into an area that has a kind of loose logical geography. The Nigerian identity is a kind of heterogeneous identity, not a homogeneous identity. That's why one nationalist in Nigeria, I will not mention the name, wrote a work on what he called the path towards Nigerian political greatness, and saw so much value in tribalism. You see, the problem we have in Nigeria is that we want to understand Nigeria as one people, a kind of unity without diversity. So, but the reality is that Nigeria is a kind of unity with diversity. So there is a diversity in the unity, and unity in the diversity. There's not unity in unity or diversity in diversity. So the issue of identity crisis is a problem, and I think it's something that we need to really solve very well. You know, when I talk about the past, not just the Biafran past, even the Nigerian past, we need to pity or pray for some of these leaders of the nation. They say that the problem is that they must always look forward, backwards and not forward, because they have inherited a kind of faulty foundation, faulty past, and they're grappling with that. And it's not very easy, especially when you add blood debt to that. It's not very easy. See, whoever knows anything at all, we know that it's not very easy. So we need to pray for the nation and pray for how things stand right now. And look, say, whatever you do it cautiously, look forward towards the end. With agas, prudent agas, et respice finem. So that's the only thing we have to do. But let us note, the problem is that Nigeria is dealing with a country that was. And we know that whatever was is. And the danger is that that thing will be. So we are dealing with a country, a full-fledged country, with a lot of things, with even their own banking system, with their own system of financial transactions, with their seaports, with the three arms of the government, and all that. So that's the problem. When these things are in the memory, we should be very careful. Just like you said, Chinua Achebe said, there was a country. Of course, if given that there was a country, by that very fact, one can also conclude that there was a country and there may be a country. Either there was a country and that there is still a country, or that there will be a country. Of course, the extent again will come in that there may also not be a country.
So
That's the point.
but in this, you find out that
But the issue, that's the danger. That's the fear.
There is a fear in the.
That's the danger.
Yeah.
That when a country has tested everything it means for them to be a country, like the Igbo people or the Biafrans, they have tested everything it must mean for them to be a country. So it is that country was and no longer is. But whether it will be is a different proposition. See, but one thing is that whatever was is, because what is, and what already is also can be. But I think it depends on the way we handle the matters. I think it depends on the way we handle the matters. We can handle the matters in such a way that what was and is never can be, or that what was and already is can and will be. So it depends on how we handle the matters. So I think that's why we are really concerned about the past, not allowing the past to become our future. You see, if the past becomes the future, then we have no future. We have lost the future. And we must make it clear that, I said, let me say, both for now and forevermore, the past cannot change. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't change the past. It's gone. So what remains should only be lessons. And with those lessons, we can change the future. That's why I said, as we go into the past with and or without memory, I have to put without memory, because the way we came together to become Nigeria has a memory. So before that time, we have a past without memory. So whether the past is with or without memory, we are coming towards the present with attention. That's why let us be attentive. See, this problem that we leave matters just like that to solve themselves, and no. Let us not leave these things. Let us come together, even if in a national conference, through our constitutions, and let us sort out matters. We can sort the matters out in such a way that we can stay together, or we can find an alternative way to make things work. So this idea of seeing Nigeria, that's, I think you raised a very important question about identity. To see Nigeria as just a single people, whoever knows anything at all cannot say that. See, it's a kind of hush-push. You have to do what we call the horizonte. It's a hush-push. So we have to be careful about that. And I think it remains really for us to pray and make sure that what we have, we don't lose.
Father, in summarily, Nigeria will be celebrating her independence tomorrow. And I would want you, in the face of all this, how would you...
Is it the issue of the quick notice?
Quick notice, and in fact there is this fear among in Nigerians today. Some
Hausa people are already going back, and some people are coming down. See, these things are unnecessary. They are unnecessary. They are necessary.
How would you come into it, especially considering the fact that you're a Catholic priest, and of course, they look up to you as a shepherd. So what would you tell this strain or this chaotic situation? How would you come into it?
I will answer only in a line. God is in total control. I so much believe in God, and I believe also that God is interested in what is happening. God is not a spectator. God is an actor. So, and God knows the best. God is aliquid quod maius est, non cogita reportis. God knows the best. Id quod est habet. God knows the best. And so, and I thank God, we all agree that God is God. We all agree that God is God. He's the supreme ruler and control of the universe. So at the end of the day, God will do justice from his own point of view. So, and I think for God is always for life, for peace, because God cannot destroy his creatures. That's why I said war settles nothing. War settles nothing. At the end of the war, only the dead. Of course, the casualties will be many. John Pepper Clark wrote a piece called The Casualties. And not only those who are dead, they are well out of it. Not only those who are wounded, they are wet burial by installments. Not only those who, escaping the shattered shells, became prisoners in a fortress of fallen walls, or those behind the scenes of ravage and wreck. We are all casualties. That's the problem.
Umeogu, you say we are all involved.
We are all involved.
Father, thank you very much for this time and for this discussion.
There is something again about the issue of quick notice I want to make clear. Like anytime you talk about the Constitution gave us the right that is fundamental to live in any part of the nation, to carry our trade and whatever unmolested. So that's an assurance from the Nigerian Constitution. And I think we should come together, even if we need to amend certain aspects of the Constitution. Let us come into a national conference and constitutional conference and do that. We can do that. But I think there is no way departing from the Constitution. So concerning the October 1st, we thank God is progress. The celebration of independence is a very wonderful something. So let us not bring up problems here and there. And let us not kill. You see, if anybody tells you to kill, do not kill. God is the bailiff of the universe. So let us celebrate our independence joyfully. Joyfully. It's something for which we should be grateful, both to God and to the nation. So let us celebrate that very well in grand styles, and avoid raising up one or two minor issues that can bring up problems here and there. So, and I will say, let people not be afraid. You are protected not only by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are also protected by the grace of God. The grace of God, who is the Almighty, the supreme ruler and controller, not only of the universe, but of Nigeria. The statements that come at times, for as I said, is not a matter of the issue of Nigeria alone. If you go to North Korea, you go to America, you can see two leaders of the world who are almost antagonizing each other and making declarations that are terrible. How can you say you're going to destroy a whole people, the whole country? Why not destroy only the agent of darkness on assignment? You don't need to destroy the whole country. So let us be very careful, because we cannot really endure another world war now, which must be nuclear. So it's terrible. So let us celebrate our independence in peace, not in pieces. As brothers, let's not go back to another genocide again, another massacre, where we kill each other again. I don't think it will help us at all. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. That's why all these conflict behaviors, let us find a way to bring them into a kind of cooperation. So to bring conflict transformation by transformative mediation. There's no one word that will solve all wars or can stop all wars. I think when people run away from war, or when people engage in war, they are running away from the problems of peace. I think it belongs to incompetent people to choose war instead of peace. Because peace has prices, we have to pay prices to maintain peace or to build peace. But let us leave this things at the matter of God, at the hands of God, and not take laws into our hands. Blood is very dear, and the problem is that there is spirit in the blood. As soon as you spill the blood, the forces will arise. The forces will arise.
All right. So, thank you very much for this.
And this idea of the referendum, I think at this point in time.
Yeah, and Catalonia.
Catalonia, yes.
Seeking for
I think either they are voting right now concerning that. So that's why we said the issue of asking for a referendum is not something evil. It's not something that So we have asked for something. Let us meet together. Let us vote and see whether it is plausible or not. Let us give. There's no harm in trial. I thank God you raised that particular point. At this point, either they are voting or something is about happening. I have said that because the IPOB and company, because they asked for a referendum, it's indicative of the fact that they do not want violence. Otherwise, they will not ask for the referendum.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Father. It's been a wonderful time again today on our platform, Destiny Discovery. You've been listening to Reverend Father Professor Bonachristus Umeogu. Father is a professor of philosophy, he's a rare genius, and the director of Igbo Village and Center of African Civilization, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Father has spoken at length, and Father, we want you to wrap up everything with prayer.
Prayer is very important, and I think we need, as I said, we need to pray for our country. We need to pray for the federal government, pray for the agitators, pray for our independence, that God will take total control. That has been my way. I was asked, when I asked God to take total control, I leave everything at that level. So, most Holy Father, most Holy Son, most Holy Spirit, I ask you to overshadow not only Nigeria, but the entire world by the authority of your living Spirit. You said in Ephesians 4:30, the Holy Spirit is God's ownership of our persons and our properties, a divine guarantee that God will share with us and set us free. Oh God, and then ask you, Father, in the name of Jesus, by the authority of the Holy Spirit, let your grace be sufficient for us by the power and the canon of the authority that said that the grace is sufficient for each and every one of us. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. Oh God, we ask you, let us strive, let us seek, let us find the promise you have for us in this nation. Let us not make the past our future, so as not to lose our future. Let us dig into that past, and by your grace and enlightenment, your wisdom and understanding, oh God, inspire our understandings and guide our actions by the authority and the presence of your living Spirit. Oh God, be to us a tower of strength against every assault and appearance of enemies everywhere. I ask you, oh God, Let your living spirit overshadow every aspect of this nation. We give you thanks for our independence. It's not very easy. We ask you, oh God, to allow us to look into the past that cannot change. You are the unchanging changer, oh God, and use that particular past to change our future. So the attention given to this present right now will make our expectations of the future very wonderful and peaceful. I ask you, Almighty God, by the authority of your living spirit, you told me in Psalm 91 verse 1 that he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High God will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. Shall say to the Lord, you are my refuge, my stronghold, my God in whom I trust. So God, take total control. And I ask this, I make this prayer in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
May the Almighty God bless all of you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Peace be with you all. And amen.
Thank you very much, Father. And when next we meet, we will discuss more on pressing issues that matter to us in as much as we stand on the pathway to our destiny. Thank you very much, Father.
Thank you very much.